Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. I tried it on my computer and it wasn't letting me see anything, so I had to move to my phone.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Well, we're honored to have you here with us. I don't know if you heard the little preview that we gave about why we are doing this today, because August is National Black Business Month. And of course, so this is really funny because Shankar and I were speaking beforehand, and he said, you know what, you two are Black women, you're Black business women, and I'm just going to let you have the floor. And of course, he's going to be here, ask questions, probe a little bit further. But it's like, it's nice to be given this space, you know, to highlight ourselves and what it is that we do, what we bring to the community. And so we want to start by just asking who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay. Well, I'm Franchette, and I'm with Vetech Business Services. And I started my company because of veterans. I started around when I was 16 years old. And then when I got married to a soldier, we went overseas. A lot of the military wasn't getting help. Mm-hmm. They didn't know how to do their resumes, especially for the government system, for USA jobs. Mm-hmm. And so I started there. And I started helping them one by one, and it just grew into a business. And so that's why I do what I do. I love helping the service members and their families. It's very important to me.
Do you feel like you provide a service that wasn't available to you at the time when you particularly needed it?
For me, it's a little different. It's a yes and no answer, because when I started to interview and get into the government system, I learned everything on my own. Everything that I knew, I learned on my own by trial and error. When it was time for me to get married and move overseas, that was a little different. The process was different. There was no one to tell me how to do this resume. It was, you know how they send you to a link and you look at it and then you copy it and you try to do your best. Well, that's okay. But in the real world, you need one-on-one. You need real communication. And so I had to learn how to do that. So I networked my way in learning how to do my resume and how to get into the places that dealt with reviewing the resumes. So I started working for the company that actually got all the resumes that helped service members. So I would understand why they were not getting picked, why they weren't making list. So yes.
And speaking of that, what do you think are some of the challenges that people do deal with when they're making this transition in their lives?
Well, at first, as far as, service members, you have to know what you want to do next. And a lot of times, they don't know that. As for me, I'll use me and I'll use my husband, for example. He's a soldier. So for him, he kind of knew what he wanted. So as a wife and as a person who did resumes, I had his resume ready when he was 10 years in, like 10 or 12 years in. His resume was already ready. He didn't have to wait till the last minute. I had him prepped. His clothing was together. Everything was already there. So if you don't know what you want, that's the biggest roadblock, I think, for anyone, not just for service members. For me, for you, you know, in entrepreneurship, that's a hard thing.
Not knowing what you want is a hard thing for everyone. That's true. How do you help people figure out what it is that they want? Because it kind of seems like either you know or you don't, but you seem
like they don't.
They don't know.
No, so what I do is a little different than most companies. So here comes some of my secrets. But you have to be Franchetta to make them work. Let me say that.
Hope you guys are writing this down, but also contact her.
Yeah, they won't work. You have to, for me, one of my characteristics is individualization. So I can read a person pretty well. They can tell me 10 things that they have done in the military, and I can pull out their next career path. I can pull it out myself. And then I will give them those titles, and we look at them, and I talk to them about them, and then they'll say, wow, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. So I pull out by names. They'll tell me 20 different things, and so I listen to them. That's the first thing. When I listen to them, then I start to create their career path.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to them personally. I ask questions that are personal, like, do you have children?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have disabled children? Because that's going to make a difference in you working 8 to 5 or 5 to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
How does that affect your family? So for me, I get personal with each of my clients. I get very personal. So I know sometimes I know their birthdays, anniversaries, but I also know their career path, and I remind them, you know, this is what you said you can do because of business and this. So I get more personal with my clients.
Do you? I really like that, because I also feel like, and this is a part of being in Black business, is being able to know how to relate to different kinds of people, knowing how to customize and personalize based on being ourselves, but also your background, also being military spouse, and going through the transition yourself. What do you feel is the reason why some people don't think past the service or past the point of getting in, and they don't necessarily think ahead of what comes next, what comes after? How do I do that?
Well, because for one thing, you have 20 years of the military. In your mind, the way that they are built up, you know, it's almost like they're tore down and rebuilt as soldiers. You know, they have to train them. So their mindset is, this is my goal. This is what I have to do each day. I'm 8 to 5. After that, I'm free. This is done, family. And so you get into a routine. And actually looking and thinking ahead sometimes is pretty hard, because you're still in that soldier mode. Mm-hmm. Even when they're transitioning, if a person stand up there at a certain rank in front of them and say, hey, Joe, don't pay for a resume. Guess what that soldier is going to do? He's not going to pay for a resume, because my rank may be higher than his. So their mind is still set like that. So when a person comes along like me, you have to pay for my resumes because I'm a military spouse and I have to make money, because you said the jobs are out there. Well, you'll have people say you don't pay for a resume. Mm-hmm. And so those service members don't. I have clients that I'm 4 years old now here in San Antonio, but I've been doing it for probably over 30 years. Okay. And I have service members coming to me now saying, Franchette, I really need a job. I don't have anything to fall back on. Mm-hmm. But when I tried to get you, you didn't come to me because you had to pay and everything was free. And sometimes you have to remember that you can tell them that you have to find the company that's the best fit for you. Everything free is not always good. Right. Sometimes you have to pay for things.
Right, so, it's true. Sometimes you do have to pay for things. And speaking of company, what are some of the core values that you shape around your company?
Well, it's funny because when I say my core values is loyalty and trust and understanding, people always think that that's part of the military. No, that's how my mom and dad raised me, and the military has those core values from parents. I always say, because I do try to understand my clients, I listen, and I try to put myself in their shoes. I always try to do that first, because I know how hard it is in this COVID-19, and not even in COVID-19. Let's not make that an excuse. Just being diverse in this community, you have to remind them how to talk, how to dress, how to approach situations. That's reality, you know. And so if you don't, they won't understand, because military people talk direct. Right. And they'll let you know, I got 15 years and this is why you should hire me and I should have your job. Right. Well, no, you didn't, because I'm doing another job and I'm not going to hire you now because you're too direct and you're after my job.
It's almost like re-socialization or rehabilitation in some kind of ways, and pulling together the skills that they have and showing how they can bring value to companies or jobs that they're going for, but in a way that is civilian and isn't necessarily service member oriented. So
that's true, and so that's why I try to train them that way. You know, I try to deprogram them to a certain point, but that's where, you know, Vetech comes in and we sit one-on-one. But at the same time, I work with another company, PurePost, and I send them over there for that type of training of how to network, how to communicate, different classes. So I kind of have a part one of Vetech, and then part two is I'm a part of another company that we work really hand in hand to help these service members and spouses transition smoothly and get the education that they need. You know, because a lot of them don't know how to talk to people. They will remind you that they're colonel or they're this level and you're here to service me. And if you don't, you won't have a job. And I've had that as a, you know, as an entrepreneur and as a military spouse.
Franchetta, what you're doing is so crucial. And I think that it is. We know that veteran spouses are a very particular community with a lot of needs. And I think that the fact that you're able to combine PurePost, Vetech, I did my homework, did my research, looked at all that you provide, but it was almost overwhelming because there is no end to the to what you can do and bring. And I think it's just really important to build that bridge and, you know, kind of connect where there's a gap. But can I just hone in specifically on the Black community here, veteran spouses, and talk about how their needs may be a little bit different to address? Do you think there is any difference at all?
Yes, they are, because a lot of veterans and military spouses in the Black community, sometimes they don't speak out. Mm-hmm. They kind of go with the flow, and some may agree and some may disagree. I'm going by what I have seen and what I've actually had to do myself, and so it is different sometimes for us because we have to walk a little different. We have to speak a little different. We have to be on point. Where some may come in and their resume could be the crappiest resume, damn, they have a job. And for us, our resumes have to be on point. Everything has to be close to perfect. And so that's why it's so important when I'm working with my clients that I make sure, especially my Black clients, I make sure, and I'm just being honest, I make sure to make them understand you have to control your attitude. You have to be approachable.
Yes, ma'am.
When you walk into an office, they should want to hire you. Mm-hmm. Your mentality has to be, if you think you're a manager, then act like a manager.
Right.
Portray that managerial profile. Be dressed. Be polished from head to toe. So I'm very adamant about that. I do it to all my clients, but especially to the Black community. I want us to succeed. Just like anyone else in their own culture, they want their culture to succeed. And I want my culture to succeed because there are times when there's not a lot of people in the higher level of a GS, you know, a GS position of 13s, 14s, and 15. Mm-hmm. You know, my husband is a Master Sergeant retired. He's a GS 14. Mm-hmm. But he was a 13 enlisted, you know, and a lot of times they will tell service members that are enlisted, you have to be a 7 or a 5. I'm telling you, if you take decent services, you need to come see me because the ones who have listened to me are 13s, 14s, and 15s. Mm-hmm. And they're not officers, they're enlisted. Mm-hmm. So I'm very adamant about really educating them and pushing them and being their backbone for their family. Mm-hmm. Because who else is going to believe in them?
Right.
They take this, I do, because I understand.
Right. Well, I hear you saying, I mean, if you're less likely to speak out, you're less likely to seek services, you're less likely to seek consulting, and you really kind of walk in not really knowing what to do. In that case, I think it's also really important to make sure that, I mean, you don't have to be Black, but if you have Black family or friends or associates who are transitioning and they are veteran spouses, that you are a resource that's there to help them. And you've done it before, you've done it for plenty of other people, and they get great value out of speaking with someone so knowledgeable and an expert in being able to do that. So how would you recommend that people go about doing this?
Well, if they're interested and they need assistance in resume writing, in being an entrepreneur, any of those fields, go to my website, which is www.vetechbusiness.com. And you can send me a little message. I will respond to you, or they can reach out through you all. You all can send them to me. It does not matter to me. I really do try to help everyone.
Yes.
And even though you do have to pay with me, I also understand. So some things, I just try to help them. A lot of times people end up not being my client, but they don't walk away empty-handed. They walk away educated and things of that nature. No one that comes to me will ever walk away empty-handed.
That's
Not
awesome.
one service member. Not one can say that they have. Now, they may disagree with me on some things, not up front, but I do try to help every veteran, military spouse, or any individual that comes to Vetech Business Services. I will help you.
I asked Shankar, I said, so is Franchetta a good speaker? He said, like every Black woman that's passionate about what she does. And he was not lying. You have not disappointed. Did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I do have a question. So what is a good match for a veteran or a service member that you know, but that they don't necessarily recognize when they leave the military?
Say that again.
What is a good career match for a service member where you know they have skills, that work very well, but they are not aware of that for that particular business or industry?
Okay, one is human resources, because a 42 Alpha is a human resource, specialist. But sometimes they don't understand how to take that, what they've done in the military, and translate it over to human resources. That's in the regular, as I said, the professional side of it. And so we have to remind them that, you're 42 Alpha, that's human resources. You can be a human resource assistant, you can be a human resource manager, a human resource director, for example. You can also be a workforce analyst, because you deal with TDAs, MTOs, and when I'm saying these words, believe me, the service members,
They know.
if they do those, they will understand it.
Right.
MTOs, TDAs, and that's nothing more. If I said it in your terminology, it would be no more than employees' role. It's a whole record that have their name, and their position with a paragraph and line number. That's what a TDA really is. And you have to make sure that you have a certain amount of numbers in a certain department. That's pretty much what a TDA. MTOs deal with equipment and things of that nature. But a lot of them don't understand that anybody that gets out the military can be a program manager. They can be that. Any of them that get out the military can probably, depending on their human resources, from a manager to a director. They can be supply management, depending on what they've worked in. If they're IT, then you have information, security managers and things of that nature. It just depends on what they want to do, because to be honest, a lot of them would do 30 years in the military and do not want to do anything that they've done in the military.
Oh, yes.
That
makes
when you have to
sense.
sit there and say, what do we do now? And that's when the fun parts comes. So for me, when I get those challenges, those are the best ones, because then I have to recreate them, but make sure what I'm recreating is realistic and they can do the job. So that's something that I love to do.
That's so funny that you mentioned that. I was an educator for 10 years, and it was only in my 7th, 8th year that I realized I didn't actually like the subject that I was teaching.
What?
I mean, I love teaching, I love educating, but the subject I was not crazy about. And I think, obviously, when you're in the military, it's a completely different situation. You've got a contract. That's what you know. That's what you do.
Yeah.
So that's something definitely to keep in mind when you're dealing with people, and you having that gift and ability to be able to read people and bring out all of their characteristics that are strong, but apply it to something that they'll actually probably enjoy is really important. And I honestly think that some people don't really care, or they kind of look over it because their goal is to just get them employment, and then it kind of ends there.
Yes, because you have a lot of companies that love veterans. They are out there, there's millions of them.
Mm-hmm.
They really love to hire veterans. I've worked with companies that love hiring veterans. Now here comes the downside to that. They're just hiring veterans.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of them on television. We love veterans, but you have nothing there to support them.
Right.
You're just needing a quota so that when you're on television, some of these billion-dollar companies, you give them the lowest type of positions, including the spouses. So if you're going to help a veteran, then you need to have a company that's connected with you so they can help you help the veterans. Okay, it's not just you have a company and you put some veterans in there. You don't understand them because you don't know what it means if they hear a chime or a bell ring that could trigger them. But we know because we can help you. We can tell you this is a good, person to put in this position. Let us assist you with interviewing. You can't ask questions in an interview to a soldier, how many people have you killed? Mm-hmm. Who says that? Ask an infantry guy that. Okay, you cannot do that, but they get so comfortable that they start talking just normal talking that you cannot. So you have to know what to say to veterans when they're sitting in front of you. Just like we have to know how to communicate with employers. Yeah. Employers need to know how to communicate with service members and and military spouses. It goes both ways.
And consider those things: mental health, abilities, those kinds of things that, they're very important. They are very important, and it's going to make a difference in their productivity, their worker productivity as well.
Definitely,
and
a lot of companies just don't have that. A lot of them just don't have a department that because they don't see the importance of it yet. But if they get a grant, they'll see the importance of it. So it should take a grant to see the importance of hiring a military spouse or hiring a veteran. But make sure you don't forget about the military spouse. And most of the time, we're kind of left out. That's that caveat to helping a service member. You forget about the spouse a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so explain to us the spouse's situation and why that is difficult sometimes, because I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, for spouses, it's different because on most applications, the person they'll ask, are you a veteran? Yes. And then they want your, are you disabled, honorary, all those things. Where we can't even check mark any of that. So we say no. And sometimes they don't ask if you're a military spouse. Because even if you're a military spouse and it's a veteran, they're looking at your husband before they look at you. Mm-hmm. So for us, and I'll take me for example, I found my dream job on a Friday night. Friday night, my husband took me out. At that time, he was just my boyfriend, and he proposed to me. So I really couldn't tell him about my dream job because I just got proposed to and moved to Germany. My whole career was up in my face in less than 8 hours. So then I had to start over in Germany. I had to find a job. I had to look, and it's not easy when you have 2,000 or 3,000 military spouses on one list. And you're lucky if they say, her, because you don't have to get interviewed. So that's a process for like 9 years I had to go through. So I had to learn how do I get past this. So I started networking. I started to network that I don't think I interviewed for another position in 9 years. I think only 2 out of 9 years after I learned what I needed to do and what I wanted to target. I learned how to network with individuals so that I didn't have to be on a list of 200 or 300 or 2,000 or 3,000 military spouses because we get forgotten about very quickly. Even here, here, military USA, and then they look for something for us to do. And then sometimes, not all the time, companies will come in and talk to veterans and they'll say, we have manager jobs and director jobs and supervisor jobs. Military spouses come up, we have admin jobs and customer service. I didn't go to school to be a customer service. I was a director and manager. You can talk to me the same way that you talk to my husband, who's a service member.
Yeah.
You can talk the same way to me. We both can probably be directors and managers. And sometimes people don't catch that they're giving us admins and executive secretaries, and nothing is wrong with that whatsoever. But give me the opportunity to be a director, a supervisor, a manager. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to give out titles, let military spouses have that same opportunity.
We absolutely agree. And for those of us who are just joining, we have Franchette Dyer here, who we are highlighting Vetech Business Services, her company. This is August, National Black Business Month. And of course, as you said, you help everyone. Your company helps everyone. But of course, that's always nice to know that we can come to you, and with your networking and your consulting and all of these things that you do, it's so important. People don't have to, and now they can actually stand on your shoulders. They have someone who did all of the hard work, 9, 10, however many long years of hitting this door, hitting this wall, and now you've just kind of paved a way where people who are veteran spouses can come and get the resources that they need with the considerations in mind that they need as well. So that I'm really, really happy that we did this. You are such a joy and a privilege to talk to you. You are full of information. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just I encourage people to reach out to Franchette. We'll add the address to the website into the comments. And I am sure even if someone lives a little bit further away, you can help remotely with Zoom these days. And we hope that a few people that find themselves in a situation that is difficult will reach out and you can help them. Thank you so much.
So many good points. Can you tell everyone how to reach you again? Your website URL and any other details?
Yes, my website is www.vetech, business, all one word, .com. And if you reach out to me, just leave me a message and I will respond. And believe me, if you come to Vetech Business Services, you will not leave empty-handed. Even if I could not help you, I will give you to a person that can. I always do. I believe in that. I believe in giving out nuggets. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, it's a wrap. You have a good afternoon and evening, Franchette, and I'm sure we'll meet in person here.
Yes, we have to.
Definitely.
Fingers crossed.
We'll Zoom then. We'll do some Zooms.
Yes, we will.
Thank you again.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
Bye.
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 That was awesome. Was it good?